Welcome to Nelson Oliver. I am Nelson Oliver. I am here with Professor Meg,
Hello.
the Gloomhaven expert, and tonight we're talking about Gloomhaven.
Expert, that makes me feel really good. I don't know if I would say expert. I'm a fanatic. I play it a lot. We'll get into it, but I'm now playing Gloomhaven on Twitch, and I'm still learning rules. I learned a rule literally the other day.
Really?
Yeah, it's so embarrassing.
Okay, we'll get into that, but I am curious what rule that you just learned. That's hilarious. So, in the last video, we talked to Alex Radcliffe, who is the other half of Camp Co-op,
Yes.
who is going through the Gloomhaven campaign with you, and so he teased a little bit of it. At the time of the video recording, he was about to retire as Mind Thief, which he is very upset about.
Yes.
But yeah, so tell me about Gloomhaven. Or actually, first tell me about you. Who are you?
I'm Professor Meg. You can find me, Professor Meg, pretty much everywhere on the internet. I'm mostly on Instagram, but I'm also branching into YouTube. And as Nelson mentioned, I'm now on Twitch on Camp Co-op. It's Camp_Co-op. There is a different Camp Co-op. Don't go there. They play sports games.
Why would they do that?
Like video games. So that's not for us. But yeah, I'm also a part of the Board Vengers.
Yep.
That's kind of how Nelson and I started hanging out. I kind of do a lot of things all over.
Hey, there you go.
Not Nelson all over.
Not Nelson all over, but all over.
Yeah.
Yeah, very involved in the community. I'm a pillar of the community at this point. Yeah,
it's
awesome.
fun.
Well, we are here at Gen Con. We are excited. It's day 2. Like,
Yes.
it feels like day 12.
Yes.
But
Yes. I still have to do 2 more days after this.
which in no way is a bad thing.
Yes.
It's very exciting. I mean, like, the days feel long, which is, in this case, a good thing. But anyways, we're talking about Gloomhaven, which is your favorite game, I believe, right?
Yeah, for the longest time I kept saying Arkham Horror, and I didn't want to have a new game take something over, but eventually I was like, yeah, it's Gloomhaven. It's my favorite game, and maybe Frosthaven will become that. But yeah, it took over my life.
Yeah. Okay, so when did you first play Gloomhaven?
Oh goodness. So before I played it, how we got it was my husband and I, we got married in 2018 in October, and we asked for it on our wedding registry.
No kidding,
So
okay.
you can register on
That's awesome.
Amazon.
Yeah.
Word to all the gamers out there, put any games you want on there.
Yeah.
So that's how we got Gloomhaven. And we got married in October, and then so I want to say it was January 2019 that we started playing.
Okay, so January 2019, so over 3 years now of playing Gloomhaven. How many times have you played it all the way through?
All the way through just once.
Really? Okay.
I'm now in my second one, and I've finished all of Jaws of the Lion.
All of Jaws of the Lion,
Yes.
which is the prequel.
Yes.
And I think that's where your new players should start.
Yes,
You agree with that?
absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're here trying to figure out where to start, so Gloomhaven was made first, and then they made Jaws of the Lion. It's supposed to be more accessible. It's a bit shorter. It's a better price point for sure.
Very much so.
And it does have a few elements that aren't in Gloomhaven, so it's a little bit less of the rules, so you can get used to it. And the way they present the rules as well, they have you open different packs and say
Yes.
start here, don't open this until then. So it definitely eases you into it. I think it's a great introduction. And another thing to say is that I'm now playing Gloomhaven Online, Gloomhaven Digital, that if you enjoy digital board gaming, that's also really great because it forces you to play by the rules, which is something I'm now learning.
Yeah, so what is the rule that you missed?
Oh my gosh, so there's a lot, but one of them is, okay. So in Gloomhaven, when you rest, you have your hand of cards, and as you use your cards, they go to the discard pile, and to get them back and to be able to even do actions, you have to banish one, and you can't have it anymore for the rest of the game.
Yep.
And so if you do a short rest, you shuffle your discard, and then you take the top card, and that's the one that gets burned. You can take a damage to keep that card and take the next card instead.
Really?
I thought that was infinite. I thought you could continuously take damage to keep the cards you wanted. You can only do that once. So basically out of 2 cards, like if you choose not to do one, you have to burn the next one, and that's it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
That's risky.
Yeah.
That can be
Another
very
thing I
risky.
learned is if you have conditions on you, what I always thought was if you had any condition on you, if you healed, it would only heal the condition off, like poison or wounded.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to get this wrong, but only one of those heals when you heal. I believe it's poison. That if you, so
been
say
too
you're
long since I
poisoned
played.
and you do
Yeah.
heal 3,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
only take the poison off.
Yes.
If you're
Yes.
wounded,
I
Now
think
I'm
if you're
getting this
wounded,
wrong?
both of them come.
Maybe.
You heal and
yeah. And we always did it as just taking the condition off.
yeah. Well, this isn't a rules video, so it'll be fine. But okay, so this is your second time playthrough. One thing that I do want to mention about Jaws of the Lion before we get too far away from that is that even if you have played through Gloomhaven, I feel like Jaws of the Lion is still a very good purchase.
Yeah.
Especially like, I think I got mine for $30 at Target. I mean, it's super affordable.
Yeah.
And they have I believe, ways that you can like skip a couple of the scenarios.
Yes.
If you know the rules and you.
And that is what we did actually.
Yeah.
So we played the very first scenario. And I believe 1 through 4 are introductory.
Yeah.
So we played the first one just to play to see how much like the training rules were. And it was a bit too light for someone who already knows Gloomhaven.
Yeah.
So we jumped ahead, I want to say to scenario 4 or 5, and then you can start. But there are a couple great things about it is if you already have Gloomhaven and you do love it, Jaws of the Lion is the same thing.
Yeah.
And it does add to the story. It's very thematic. And it also adds character classes that you can play in any of the other games.
Yep.
So even if you have Jaws of the Lion and Gloomhaven, when Frosthaven comes, you can push any of those characters into that as well.
Yes, and that's what I really love about it is that it's an ecosystem, and it shows that it really is a good learning tool for the game because literally you can play the same characters in that.
Yeah.
So it is very much
truly,
the same.
I love this game so much. Shout out to how balanced it is. That
Yeah.
you can take a game that was made in 2017 and be able to apply that to a game that's being made in 2022 and still play those characters. Like they're still functioning the way they should, and I don't feel like any of them are imbalanced or anything like that. Shout out to them.
Yeah, no, it's been an incredible design feat. Okay, so so if it's a spoiler class, don't tell me the class, but what is your favorite character you played?
It's such a spoiler class.
Oh yeah?
First of all, almost all of my favorite classes are Inox. I love the Inox. I love tanking, and my favorite one is the 3 lightning bolts.
Yes, okay, yeah.
It is great. It's very thinky. It's a lot of max damage, which is my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah. If
It's
you're
really
a
fun.
tank player, that is the class to go for.
Yeah.
Okay, then so I assume if you love Enox, that means your favorite core class is the Brute?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, core class, I also love the Hatchet. They're kind of a little tied for me. The Hatchet is a core class from Jaws of the Lion. But yeah, the Brute and the Hatchet are both great too. They're so good.
Awesome. Okay, so do you? I was talking with Alex about this in our last video. He is about to retire the Mind Thief in your campaign that you're playing together, and he is upset about that. And once he's sad about that. And I'm on team, like, I just want to play different classes. Like, I want to see it all. Are you like sad when you retire? Are you excited about the next thing?
So like in a little perspective about what's going on with him, when I retired my first class, I got it to level 9. So my first class was the Brute, and with what my conditions were to retire, I just couldn't do it quickly. So I got him all the way to level 9.
Nice.
Alex is only at level 5 right now with his, or maybe 6. He might be at level 6, but either way, he hasn't gotten it to level it all the way. And I can understand when you're really loving a class, if you're not getting to see the full potential, it is really hurtful. Like, it's sad and hard.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say goodbye. And I think that the first class you retire is always the hardest because you start playing Gloomhaven, you start falling in love with it, you start loving the class, and you don't know the other classes yet.
Yeah.
So to know you have to change, you don't really know what change looks like yet.
Right.
And that's something that I talk about often about my first playthrough was I played D&D as well, and I really love RPGs and thematic gaming, and I started playing Gloomhaven, and you could tell it was a certain story, like the narrative is already written, and then I started feeling like it was becoming our people, like my Brute, his name was Balthar, and we were playing with Zentrim, and we called him Zenny, and we were developing our own storyline with choices we made.
Yeah.
But the thing to remind you is that you're still playing the story of Gloomhaven. You're not playing your own story. So for them to rip that character away from you, you're playing that game, and you're going to play by those rules and not what you actually want.
Yeah, very much so.
It was an emotional journey that it pushes you through that. And I also loved that too, that it hurt, but it felt good.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, Gloomhaven is... It's such a phenomenal game, and what I loved is, so I had a group that I played physically with when I lived here in Indiana, and when we would retire a character, we'd all like gather around and like go through the cards and like open up the packs, and like I think they did such a genius job of individually packaging them, and it's such an event. So I have not played the digital version, and I assume you lose out on some of that, but the digital version does look very beautiful. Which do you prefer out of the two?
I would say I prefer physical, and the digital one is great, and one of my favorite things about the digital version is that the environments are even more beautiful because there are walls, it's not just tiles. There is some really cool stuff, and even the maps, like if the map was like this, there are extra rooms you can see and look into. So I really, really enjoy seeing that, and even seeing the creatures moving. There are like elite living corpses with like swords sticking out of them, and they're breathing, and
That's terrifying.
I honestly got really afraid. But it can get a little tricky with mistakes. It's not very forgiving, and it doesn't usually check with you before you do certain things. That we've had turns that we make mistakes, and it's only because of the interface and not because, like, if we'd been playing physical, we would have been able to
rewind or like fix it, right?
Yeah, so that's been really tricky. It's something like, you know how, so in Gloomhaven there are elements that you use and they become strong and then weak, and in the digital version, if you're using an attack that would consume the element, you have to make sure you click it in a very specific way.
Oh, really?
It's a little annoying. And like something like an attack where I have a cleave attack and it attacks 2 hexes, and where you select is only this hex. So if I had 2 enemies here, but I selected that enemy, it'll attack that way.
Oh.
So that's something that would never happen in real life.
Right. Yeah.
And you can always walk it back, but.
Yeah. So is there no like undo on the digital?
No. So you can restart the round, and that's what's been really tricky, that we're playing it 2-player. So if we're both going first, you can restart it, but only if you haven't done an action yet, or if you're between action. If you can do one action and then restart, but if it's that last thing that you mess up on, or if you don't realize and then all of a sudden they're going, there have been times where we've wanted to restart the round and you just can't.
Yeah. And I guess like with the attack modifier deck, like you don't want to just be able to restart and know what cards you're doing, but like there should be like a confirmation or something in there that just kind of, because that can be very frustrating.
And I'm hoping they'll take feedback and work on it. The good thing about it being digital is they'll be able to make changes based on feedback and just do updates, but we'll see. Yeah,
we'll see. Alrighty, so Frosthaven is apparently coming here soon, right?
Soon.
I mean, like I backed that pre-pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Right? Or mid-pandemic?
Yeah. Maybe 2020.
It was 2020 because I was working remote. Yes. And so, but because I remember that because I remember watching the Kickstarter page as it was breaking the record, and it was just like watching just the numbers. Yeah. I'm just like, this is
so
cool.
Exciting.
This is really cool. Yeah. Okay, so Frosthaven is delivering soon.
Yes.
And it may, I don't even know when this video is coming out, honestly, but so it may actually be in the hands of people. What are you most excited about?
So there are 2 things, if I can give 2. Yeah. So there's now a town system in it. So there's this whole map where you're building up, and I don't know exactly, but you're building up different, if there is like a forge or a town hall, things like that. You're building up different things that will give you different boons when you go back to the town.
Yes.
And the other thing I'm really excited about is, as a 2-player game, and this will happen with Alex and I as well when he retires, he's only going to have 1 new class to choose from, but we've been playing for quite a long time. Yeah. So at 2 players, you're not really unlocking as many characters as you could be, and Frosthaven is changing that based on the number of scenarios you do, you just get points to spend and allocate to unlock classes.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's a really cool way to do that.
They changed it that way for like 2-player, you can kind of have a little bit more options. Because like Dan and I, we got to level 9 with our Brute and Mind Thief. They were both level 9 and they retired in the same exact scenario. It was really cool.
Adorable.
I know. So for us, we only had 2 new classes to choose from, and we were at level 9. Like by that point, if you'd played that many scenarios, like you should have more to choose from, I think. So.
Yeah. You kind of like, it's thematically you're meeting people or something like that, right?
Right.
That's really cool. Yeah, I'm very excited about the town system. That feels it's like an engine builder type system inside of Gloomhaven. Like one of the most favorite things that we did in our campaign, the first time through, we started over. Because we didn't have Jaws of the Lion at the time, but the first time through is we donated everything and anything we could to the church. Like we're just
the
like
Great Oak.
Yeah, we're just like praise the church, and like all our money went to that, and that actually ended up being a pretty good strategy, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, we also completely paid into that. I don't want to say I did it every time I had money to be able to do so. Let me tell you something fun. It's one of my favorite parts of Gloomhaven, and it has tied through from our game onto digital. But there is a, spoiler alert kind of, but not too bad, but there's a scenario basically in the beginning where you get a ring of skulls, and you can summon a skeleton. Yeah. And when we got it right away in our first game, I bought it right away. It's worth 50 gold, so it's very expensive. Yeah. And for every new character I have, I buy it as the first item, and it's very expensive to do, but we call him Skelly, and he was with every single party, so we call him the C-3PO of our universe. But he was
That's amazing.
With our party the entire time. Skelly, by the time we got that ring, he was with every single party member until the end.
Oh, that's amazing.
Now in Gloomhaven Digital, we also have Skelly, and like now we have people in chat talking about him, and I mean, he basically dies right away, but he's our C-3PO.
Yeah, he's there. He's a part of the team.
Yeah.
He's a family. He's a family member.
He really is.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's such a good game.
It's so good. It's so good. I'm trying to figure out how to play it again, right? I moved away from my Gloomhaven group, and like maybe that's a digital implementation, and trying to find maybe I can convince them to buy it digitally.
Yeah.
But like, I have Frosthaven coming too, and so it's like I kind of really want to play that. So it's like maybe I do that solo.
Why not both?
Why not both? Yeah.
Honestly, the digital version, to give it credit, there's no time for setup, there's no time for breakdown.
Yeah.
So if you think about how long it usually takes you to sit and play Gloomhaven to tell your friends, like if we play digital, it's a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And you can actually save it mid-scenario, so if you ever
nice.
have to go, it'll save for you.
Okay,
so
that's really great.
It does make it more accessible time-wise.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah. I would spend, we always played after work, and I would set it up, and then we would play 2 to 3 scenarios a night, and then they would leave and I would tear down, and then I was not super productive the next day.
Yeah,
we were up so late.
That was like my favorite. It was like ritualistic for me that I would kind of pre-plan what scenarios we would do and pre-pull the tiles and the enemy stuff and just have it all ready so that like we would do it and then decide, okay, which one do we want to do next? I love setting games up. Just so you guys know, there is an app for Gloomhaven that helps you run a lot of the things like the monsters.
Yeah.
I do not use it. I cannot recommend it because I've never used it.
I can. It's really good.
I love doing the things. I'm the Hermione where I'm like, you guys should see, there's also a free PDF checklist of all the scenarios so you can check off as you unlock it and then as you beat it.
Nice.
It was like my homework. I loved it. It was so much fun. It was so fun.
That's exciting. Okay, so have you played any of the Crimson Scales expansion?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, tell me about that.
So we played all of Gloomhaven and then Jaws the Lion in between, and then Crimson Scales I recently got, I want to say maybe 2 months ago now. It does feel like a bit longer ago.
Okay.
I'm about 7 scenarios in.
Okay.
It's very clever.
Yeah?
It's very, very clever.
Okay.
I want to say every single scenario so far has done something really unique, where I feel like Gloomhaven, there are times where they do very unique things that are very cool, but not every scenario.
Yeah.
And I'm not that far into Crimson Scales yet, so I don't really know, but it does really fun things that change the game that I really, really enjoy. I don't want to spoil anything, I'll just say that, but it kind of takes all of the mechanics, it works within the mechanics of what regular Gloomhaven is, and adds some really cool stuff. It also adds great classes. That my favorite from that one is the Chain Guard. It's another Inox. I am just obsessed with those guys. And his attacks is that he can get his chain and hook someone, and then you can like whip people around. And if it's like you can move 3 to whip them, but if they can only move 2 and hit a wall, it does extra damage because you whacked them into the wall.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so much fun.
Yeah. So just so you guys know, Crimson Scales is a fan-made Gloomhaven expansion. So the Gloomhaven IP is available for people to develop things if they want, but it's non-profit. So they just printed it at cost. They kind of sourced it for people to get copies out to be playable, but it was completely fan-made.
Yeah.
By Boardgames 613.
Yeah. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I mean, especially because it's, a group of people that were so passionate about Gloomhaven, right? And you can, from what I've heard, I've not actually been able to play it, but what I've heard is like, you can definitely see that passion in their product. And so it's definitely one that I need to get on my hand, like get on the table someday, but.
It's absolutely a love letter to Gloomhaven.
Yeah.
It definitely is.
Yeah. Excellent. Alrighty, so I want to end with like, what is your, like, why do you love Gloomhaven so much?
I just got chills when you said that.
Okay, perfect. Let's hear it.
There are a lot of things. I think one thing that I did really enjoy that we kind of hit on is that the story forces you to play through that story. And as attached as you get, it also kind of like, it hurts you and helps you, and it's really fun. One thing that we didn't hit on, which is probably one of my favorite parts, is the card management system. So you get a deck of 9 to 11 cards, I think.
Yeah.
I'm usually around 10 cards. Most of the classes I play are 10. So then if I'm not, I get really confused, honestly.
The math isn't the same.
Yeah, I'm like, well, and then when I'm picking what cards to bring into a scenario, I always try to bring 10, and it's like, no, I should double check. But the card system is very, very elegant. You play a card, there's a top and a bottom, and you also have an initiative on both, so you can choose which initiative you want to do, if you want to go slower or faster, and then you'll choose the different abilities. But my favorite thing, which we kind of hit on in the beginning, is that you start discarding the cards, and part of your, it's not your health, but part of how you stay alive in the scenario is having these cards available because they are your actions, and they're the only way for you to take actions. So you discard them, then you need to rest, and you always banish one every time you rest. So you're kind of on a time clock that you can't take too long with the scenario. That it really forces you to run through run through things sometimes and make really tough decisions, but it's really fun. It's really, really good. Yeah. When you do good things and you can make the puzzle work and you play 2 cards that you're like, these are meant to go together, it is just so satisfying.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite parts is the actual combat modifier deck.
I was almost just going to say that after that if you didn't bring it up.
Yeah, so instead of like dice rolling or anything like that, you actually are modifying your deck, which changes your attack value. So like you attack, you flip a card, and then you add, subtract, miss, or critical, like 2x, or and just like adding that level of variability into the deck and being able to damn it, Roberto's dancing behind the camera. I can't do it. Instead of just like a dice roll, right?
We
like
were just stunned for a round.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Perfect. But being able to manipulate that makes it so much more meaningful and satisfying than like a dice roll and just like adding 5, because you can modify like the monster deck. And some of my favorite classes are ones that heavily modify your decks in favor, or the monster enemy deck like at a disadvantage to them. And I love that type of play style. And so being able to do that is just a really well-designed mechanic.
And I want to say, as someone who was playing D&D before they were playing Gloomhaven, it felt familiar, but made it board gamified.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really felt like it took a concept that you're familiar with, like a D20, and kind of pushed it into this new way. And like you were saying, how you're able to customize it and change things later. It's very cool. It's one of my favorite parts, but I mean, they all are my favorite parts.
They're all your favorite parts. Alrighty, yeah. Well, it was fantastic talking with you. I cannot wait. We have to do another one of these once we get some Frosthaven content done.
Yes.
Because I am really excited. They are doing a digital version of that, I believe.
Yes. I don't know if it'll be a bit longer. I don't know anything about that side of it.
Yeah.
But they are.
Yeah. So are you and Alex going to be playing through Frosthaven too?
Yes.
Good.
But honestly, it's taking us a long time to get through Gloomhaven. So
Well,
I'm not worried about it being out, because I'm sure it will be by the time we get there. And we also both got Jaws of the Lion as well now. So we'll play that.
I didn't realize that was digital.
So it is, and
okay.
even in the digital version.
Okay.
So Alex is thinking about playing the Hatchet when he retires.
Yeah.
So that's why we bought it, because we need it available for him to choose the classes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I didn't realize you could do that.
Yeah. So we're gonna be the Brute and the Hatchet, 2 like big tanks going through.
That's amazing.
And,
shoot. Okay.
Spoiler alert: Alex is unlocking the 3 lightning bolts, and I told him he couldn't take it, so that's
Yeah.
why he bought Jaws of the Lion.
Yeah. He talked about that.
Yeah.
He's like,
But
Meg
we're
already
gonna be
dims
such
it.
a tough team. I cannot wait.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing. I can't wait. I can't wait. This is great having you on. Tell people where to find you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
You can find me all over the internet, mostly on Instagram, a little bit of YouTube. Definitely check us out on Twitch on camp_co-op. We'll be playing Gloomhaven every Tuesday and Thursday, sometimes extra because I ask for more Gloomhaven.
Nice.
And if you guys aren't subscribed to Nelson All Over, please do so. Do yourself a favor.
Thank you.
Nelson puts out fantastic content all the time.
I appreciate
This is on
it.
his channel, so I don't need to be doing this, but this is my pure recommendation.
Awesome. Well, thank you so very much.
Yeah.
All of those links will be in the video description, so definitely go check them out. But until next time, it was great talking with you.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.